my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
They're here.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's showtime.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the VHS Strikes Back. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to the VHS Strikes Back, the show where we dust off the old video player and go on a nostalgic journey to look at the good and the bad movies of yesteryear. Now, Chris, what are we going to review this week?
Well, Dave, it's my pick, and I was thinking, do I go with something else? Do I go with something silly? What we're going to pick? And we had a few discussions, and you said it a few times on here about, we need to revisit the sequel to an absolute masterclass of, it's not really martial arts. It's just pure, brutal cage fighting. So, Dave, I thought, you know what? I'm going to do the Lord's work. I'm going to take us back to 1994 and finish off these two absolutely iconic movies. I say iconic in my mind, Dave. They're iconic and in for both of us, but I had to pick it. So it's Big Lou Ferrigno, Dave, and Reb Brown, and this one is Cage 2. So, Dave, I know we've both talked about this. I don't think either of us seen it, but what's your feeling about this one?
Well, obviously we watched the first Cage, and I hadn't heard of that, but of course we knew that we had old Captain America and old Hulk, on there. We got Reb Brown who played Captain America. You had Lou Ferrigno who played the Hulk together. And then we watched the movie, and by Christ, it was wonderfully terrible, wasn't it? I mean, just utterly ridiculous. And we did have, especially when we do these types of movies, a lot of fun just going through. And I remember at the time, I was like, oh, fucking hell, this is a sequel. Now, we'd never heard of this. But you just found it because you were in a mode of, I'm going to try and find the worst martial arts movie I can. And that was how you sort of came across it. But then there's a sequel to it as well. And when we watched the sequel, it's just like, this looks good. But, I mean, it sort of looks like Billy has recovered from his headshot wound. He seems to be all right now. I kind of really want to see this. I can't remember if at the time we'd watched Shoot Fighter at this point, but Shoot Fighter was 93, wasn't it? This one's Cage 2 straight to video in 94. Now, I'm not saying they've just blatantly ripped the idea and gone, oh, let's churn this low budget variant out. But I definitely wanted to see this. And obviously last week when you dropped it, I was like, oh, I can't believe it. I've been so looking for an excuse to watch this. It was even one of those, I just kept forgetting about it, I'm not the only person on the podcast who does that, but I always forget about it. And I'm like, oh, I should watch that at some point. Even if we're not reviewing it, I just want to watch it. But yeah, so when you dropped it, and it was definitely right. Now I know I'm going to make time so we can record about it. I was really, really happy. I mean, how about yourself, Chris?
Yeah, I think I've toyed with this for ages. I had it in my little list, Dave, and a few movies that I was going to pick have been picked by our Patreon friends, which has been good. But this was like, yeah, I know I picked that stupid fucking Barbarian Twins one, Double Trouble, whatever it was called, but I had to pick this. I had to fucking go with this one. I thought, you know what, something silly, something ridiculous. And, we've had discussions off the podcast, Dave. All I'm going to say to everybody, I have got the ultimate Christmas present for every single one of our listeners, Dave. That's all I'm going to say. It's along the lines of this, but yeah, I had to pick this. Big Lou, who looks fucking huge in this, and there is a backstory to it, so we'll get into that when we get in the podcast. But no, I was dead excited about watching it. It is on YouTube. There's about 3 versions. It's an hour and 45 minutes. Don't speed up YouTube. It is glorious, this movie. It's absolutely amazing. But no, I'm so looking forward to getting into this.
Yeah, it's you've dropped that a few times about the Christmas one, because the podcast, the not the Patreon one, but obviously Christmas Day does fall on a Wednesday, which is when our main episode goes out, and you have hinted about this, and I think, well, one of the Christmas things we did, I don't think it was VHS though, was it? Didn't we do it on the comics, the Turtles Christmas thing? I'm thinking,
yes.
I'm thinking, Christ, if it's even worse than that, what the hell is this? I have no idea. So I'm very curious about what this one's going to be. But anyway, Chris, should we get into this glorious trailer?
Let's go.
Doctors saved my body. But they couldn't save my life.
I don't understand.
Cause most of me died back in Vietnam.
The cage fights are not so secret anymore. They're broadcast via cable television to the entire world. Tin Lam Yen is behind the fights. Tin Lam Yen is dead. Billy crushed that worm a few years ago.
Kill you right here!
Cripple a bit, but very much alive.
If we continue with the shots, how long do you think we will last?
His heart could burst at any time.
They give you an evil medicine to make you more aggressive.
I'm ready now. The people want to see me in the cage. Fighting like some kind of wild animal.
Billy never fight for you. He would if he thought you were dead.
Think of your friend often, yes?
I don't believe he's dead.
Billy! Billy!
I just don't feel it.
Bien has Billy. Neither you, Interpol, the Triad, or anybody else is going to keep me out of Chinatown. The best way of finding Billy is face him in the cage. As long as I can go in disguise. Got word you're gonna fight the great one next. Billy?
You must continue to fight to win so that no harm comes to you.
Race.
Broken back. And all the years of agonizing pain. What's the matter, Billy?
Does your chest hurt?
I must give you the injection. Oh, for sure.
You know our arrangement. You fight, and I take care of you.
Yeah, well, the arrangement changing.
Billy Thomas has returned to a peaceful life under the care of his best friend, Scott Monroe. However, Billy's reputation as a skilled fighter catches the attention of underground promoters who seek to exploit him for illegal cage matches. Despite Scott's efforts to protect Billy, he is kidnapped and forced into brutal fights for money. Determined to rescue his friend, Scott embarks on a dangerous mission to take down the criminal ring. Now, Chris, what do you reckon to the opening of this movie?
It's fucking amazing. Amazing. The fact that they go into like a 7-Eleven, don't they? And in the space of this 7-Eleven, fucking Billy pats a little kid. Oh, look at the kid. He looks great. He talks to someone. They get hit on by two girls who invite him to a fucking party. And then these fucking triads come in and just start fucking wantonly killing everybody. Other than Billy, he's got every cliche you'd want in a movie, Dave. There's literally the writers of this have just gone, you know what, we need a quick 10-minute fucking script. What can we come up with as a sequel? This movie is as paper thin as it was written on. It is terrible movie, but also fucking glorious again. Because the whole Billy character just makes no sense, does it at all? Like, he obviously has the... What's really sad, and I did see this in some of the reviews, again, there's no good reviews of this movie, Dave, let's be honest, but...
Oh, no, I saw a 10 out of 10 one. Someone absolutely loved
from D. Horrocks, yeah.
No, it was El Ferrigno.
Mr. Hulk had written that one. But
R. Brown.
Yeah, yeah. Fucking, honestly, it's so weird, and the way it's shot, it's got that sort of King of the Kickboxers 2 feel about it, where it's like they haven't got they haven't at the start. It feels like dead cheap, but then later on, there is a bit of production to it, especially with the TV stuff, and it's supposed to be live streamed in Asia and all that. But the whole premise of getting Billy makes no sense whatsoever, does it? They just come and get him. He's this hulking guy, and what I alluded to before with the bodybuilding was in late '92. Lou Ferrigno made a comeback, and it was the first time in bodybuilding he'd done any bodybuilding since Pumping Iron in 1975. So he went straight from Pumping Iron to do the Hulk, and then had this TV career and stuff, and then the odd movie here and there. So he did a comeback, and in '93 he went in Mr. Olympia. He come 10th, but because he's 6'5", watching him on stage, and Dorian Yates won that year again. Dorian Yates won 7 in a row. He won 92. I think from second in 91, then 92 to 99 or something like that. Dorian Yates won 7 Mr. Olympias in a row. But Dorian Yates is about 5'9", 5'10". They say 5'8" really is the perfect bodybuilding height. But Arnie was 6 foot. He isn't now. He was about 6 foot really. He wasn't just 6'2".
Say he sort of embellishes that a little bit.
I don't think he's
quite 6 foot.
No, I think he's a bit of bullshit there. But Louis genuinely 6'5". And if you ever go on YouTube and just put in 1993 Mr. Olympia, he looks unbelievable, Dave. Because of the sheer size of someone that big getting legs that big. It just looks like there's a bodybuilder on stage of him who's about 5'2", and it looks ridiculous. It looks like a cartoon or something, like a piss taker. Honestly, it just looks so ridiculous, but it just looks awesome in it, Lou Ferrigno. I know he came Thames because they look at different things, like when they do bodybuilding, but I think his size just didn't win over the judge. He just looks, honestly, I've watched it a few times, and you watch him posing and they're all on there, and he just looks unbelievable. So off the back of that, obviously he's gone into filming this, and he looks fucking massive in this compared to the first one, doesn't he? I mean, he's big in the first one, but in this, he's bodybuilding shape, which you can clearly see when he's doing the fight moves and stuff, because that fucking hulking body, Dave, he don't do much for him. But anyway, he gets fucking done with a bit of a dart in his stomach, doesn't he? And then it's he thinks that he's dead, doesn't he? Reb Brown's character's dead. He thinks he's fucking... And what I find weird is he's not really a likable character in this movie, because it doesn't make sense that just because he's not being looked after by... what's his character called? Reb Brown's character, Dave. His fucking mate. Scott. Because he's not being looked after by Scott, and I know he's been getting these lethal, these sort of injections to keep him going. He's a twat, basically, isn't he? He's a wanton killer. So it's really bizarre to sort of root for him, because he's nothing like the character out the first movie. He was a fucking war veteran who got killed. And what's really sad, and what's reading one of the reviews...
Hold on. He was a war veteran who got killed. I don't think he got killed.
Not killed, he got shot, sorry.
Yeah, and let's go back. You said they were giving him these lethal injections, so that would be an injection to kill him.
All right, well, maybe it's just exaggeration.
The fact that you've killed him off twice there in quick succession, I sort of thought I'd let the first one go, but then... But no, they're pumping him up with not adrenaline, but there's angry Hulk fucking steroids or something to get him more wound up, aren't they?
Yeah, and you're right, and that premise of the movie is just bizarre. But what a start, Dave. So I know I've waffled for a bit. I am in from this straight away. It's got that whole Dynasty Vaseline effect on the fucking camera lens and it all the way through. Yeah. But yeah, I am in on this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's an enjoyment to it, and you wax lyrical about how fucking outstanding it is. But let's just make sure, if anyone's listening to this for the first time, because you are trying to find something for Cage 2, and there's hardly anything that you can find. There's no trivia on IMDb, certainly no wiki page. There's nothing out there. Chris, this film is fucking terrible. This is absolutely awful. This is... I'm going to say it's not quite as bad as King of the Kickboxers 2, which eventually we will get to, I'm sure. But, I mean, that was worse. I think whoever they've got behind the camera, some of the shots, in particular in the cage, you can tell it looks quite good. You know, the quality of it's quite high, but fucking terrible. And the way it just feels like they've raced this through, and that's why I think I wonder if there is some tenuous link to Shoot Fighter. You know, the one with William Zabka, and I just feel like it's just a blatant kind of cash grab because there's no thought into it. It's got all of the cliches, and you're absolutely right. Billy is not really, he's definitely not the same character. I mean, whether that was a thing that Ferrigno wanted to, make sure, because maybe he wasn't that happy. We spoke about it at the time because obviously he is deaf. So when he speaks, he's got this little twang so you can tell. But, to make him, like, to really, really dumb him down. I mean, in the first one, he was basically like a small child, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But even outside of the cage, there's not that many clues that, he has these, like, PTSD flashbacks, doesn't he? But there aren't that many clues. He's certainly not the same Billy as the first one. He's definitely, his IQ has gone up a few points. And even later on in the movie, when he's arguing for a percentage of of his fights and stuff, it's just not the same Billy, which is the weird thing. But yeah, there's hardly any thought gone into this. And Chris, honestly, the fucking acting is terrible across the board. So I just want to make sure it's clear for the listeners. I mean, for long-time listeners, they'd obviously know kind of what gets us excited about these types of movies. But yeah, this film is fucking terrible.
Oh, it is. It's absolutely awful. And you're right. Like, even Reb Brown, Dave, like the first scene where he ends up fighting against all them Asian guys, doesn't he? He's down the alleyway. He's massive, isn't he? He's about the same height as Big Lou. And again, the extras are all small, aren't they? And he just looks like a dad who's had a shopping list to go to the grocery store. He's dressed like that, and you can see they're sort of trying to make him look younger. But he isn't. He's got like the fucking big floppy blonde hair, and he's got like but he just looks 50 odd. I mean, Lou Ferrigno's 43 in this movie, so he's just the same age as me and you, pretty much. But then you've got Reb Brown. Obviously, must be older. He looks about 50, and it just doesn't. The whole thing with Scott never settled for me. Like the whole thing, I know the ex-army. He looks at it. Just it feels so weird as like as a concept for the movie, like that he looks after his friend. And I think what the bad thing is, and I think we covered this in the first one, is obviously with Lou Ferrigno having hearing problems, is they're playing on the fact that his speech is impaired by his disability. But then to go with the movie, they just come up with this whole thing about him being brain damaged, don't they? And it's like...
That was more the first one, though, wasn't it?
No, that's what I mean. More the first one, but yeah.
The first one. But in this one, unless you knew that he was deaf, honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell. I wouldn't, if I knew nothing about Lou Ferrigno at all, and I just watched this movie, I don't think I'd pick up that there was something wrong with him there. In the first one, it was like he was 6 years old. Like the way he was talking, the way he was acting. But in this one, he's just intelligenced up.
Which is bizarre.
He got better from that shot in the head.
Yeah, he got better by being punched in the face. Yeah. It's ridiculous. I mean, even them two Interpol guys, though, they're like middle-aged guys. And when he's getting chased, fucking Reb Brown, they come from nowhere. They've both got little bald patches. They've got they're fucking there. They look like just two proper middle-aged dads, don't they? But yet they're fucking masters the whole way through the movie. They're almost like just absolute ninjas, aren't they? Like they're on a different level. The whole thing is that they're after the triads. It's an illegal fighting underground thing. We've seen that so many times in these martial arts movies, haven't we? You know what I mean? But Billy, the whole premise of when they take Billy and how he ends up there is strange. But then, like you said, not the lethal injections that I was talking about, Dave, but the fact that Billy is just nailing people all over, isn't he, on telly, and it's bizarre. Like it's really goes against everything in the first movie. It's okay going away from the movie. In some respects, Dave, this is almost like, and I'm going to bring them up, no retreat, no surrender. So it's like you've got 3 movies with Lauren Avedon's in 2 of them, but all 3 movies have got nothing to do with the others. I know the first one was supposed to have Kieran McKinney on it, and Van Damme was like, we're not going over there, sort of thing, to Cambodia. And that's why Lauren Avedon's a completely different character. But the idea was for them to sort of fight again, weren't they, over in Cambodia and stuff.
Who's
and
Kieran
Van Damme
McKinney?
Was Kieran McKinney.
Is it Jason?
No,
or Scott?
I'm getting Scott. Is it?
No, Scott. Scott's his fucking hell. Alzheimer's kicking in, Chris.
Jason Stillwell's his character.
That's it. Yeah.
And his real name, Jason. Am I wrong? Kurt McKinney. Kurt McKinney.
Yes.
Jason McKinney. I don't know who he is, Dave.
Who are you?
I don't know.
Why am I here?
I don't know. I fucking lost it. But yeah, Billy's character is bizarre because in the cage he's massive, and you can see Lou. It's just come straight from bodybuilding because like this is the scene where he fights the 2 guys, and it's ridiculous. But then he does these kicks in it at one point. Fuck me.
Better than Ralph Macchio's, though.
Well, yeah, Ralph Macchio's a fucking fraud, but he can't even get his leg above his knee. He's been squatting and deadlifting that much now that he's just monstrous, isn't he? It's just, and they can't even do it with camera work, Dave. I mean, Reb Brown does a few kicks earlier on, and they're passable, aren't they? It's like, yeah, all right, we can believe they're better than Macchio's, as you say. I mean, fucking.
I was thinking it's like, what was the guy from Enter the Dragon? One of the main guys who's there at the end as well. He was the dad.
He might have Elm Street now.
He's the dad in Nightmare on Elm Street as well. Yeah.
Yeah. John Saxon, is it?
That's him, Saxon. Like when he gets ambushed. Roper, that's it.
Roper, yeah.
We're going to have to break something, Roper. And then he's playing golf, isn't he? And then he puts out the guys, and then he does like this spinning kick, and his legs all bent and everything. It's like, hey, have you done any martial arts ever? For me, it was better than that as well. You know, it was proper. That was a proper Ralph Macchio job, but. I thought, you know, for the size of Lou Ferrigno, for him to even pretend that he's doing this sidekick, I thought fair play to you. I thought it looked better than what I would assume. You know, you sort of assume someone who's that big is like struggling to walk down the street normally, aren't they? You know, you said fucking leg muscles are that big. So I was the opposite to you. I was kind of like, oh yeah, fair play. That's not bad, that.
Well, but don't you think as well, Dave, that this movie almost becomes Reb Brown is the hero, doesn't he?
Like especially when Billy gets killed off, yeah.
Well, yeah, you've ruined it for everyone, Dave.
Sorry, we're not there yet.
no, but you're right. But Reb Brown, like, sort of, he's on this mission to get Billy and find him. So they like them 2 Interpol guys, like, start doing fucking Karate Kid training montage, don't they? You know, like fucking showing him the way.
I honestly, I thought I'd had a brain fart at that point. I'm like, he goes into this almost like a Van Damme, and obviously we mentioned in the other movies that fed into this, but like Bloodsport, you know, I think was another very clear input into this, isn't it? Like the different styles for the cage matches, because we're concentrating a lot. We're speaking about the story. Honestly, Chris, got to give ourselves a pat on the back for making this particular story stretch out, because there's hardly any fucking story at all. But yeah, I think there's a lot of cage fighting and stuff like that. But like you say, they're Interpol guys. But he's like a sensei and almost starts to retrain Scott. Like, what the fuck? You know, like, say Kickboxer or Bloodsport, you know, so Bloodsport, he's like thinking back to his training, isn't he? And Kickboxer, he's retraining because he needs to avenge his brother's, attack and whatever. So I get those montages, but for here, for Scott, I was just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, it's supposed to be it wasn't a montage as such, but it was a whole training sequence, and you got this pseudo kind of Mr. Miyagi training him. I'm like, have I fucking fallen asleep through half of this movie or something. It just, you're right, it seems to completely change away from Billy and to Scott.
Yeah, it's just a weird vehicle, and I think because Billy, and he's got obviously the girl with him, and he's like, he has that little flashback, don't he, of the first movie, and that's the only time we actually see the fucking 50p scar on his head, like to say he's been shot.
Yeah.
And that's but it's this whole thing that because Scott's not there, I can just be an arsehole. And like you say, he has getting some sort of adrenaline, super soldier serum stuff, but it's weird because there's a switch, isn't there? It's almost like because of what they wanted Lou to do, someone who's writing it or the director went, well, he's not really a redeemable character now. Even though we're getting these moments of acting, which are fucking awful, of him speaking to the girl about, and every time this guy comes in, him out of fucking Die Hard, and he's saying like, I'm like a father to you and all this fucking nonsense, isn't he? And that whole dynamic doesn't fucking ding you, and Lou keeps like over saying, yeah, because Scott's not here, you're like a dad to me, yeah, I do appreciate it and all that, and it doesn't make sense, and that's like, you're about 40 minutes in, and when the switch happens, I'm like, well, it's like we've got two separate movies here, because he's going to have to fight against Billy anyway, but why did they think putting him in a disguise and that, he starts fighting underground, and have you found him
he's so
yet?
famous.
Yeah, exactly. He's 6'5", fucking Lou Ferrigno, Billy, and it's like we can't find him. Well, he's on fucking TV, and then you've got that weird anchorman guy who's wearing a false moustache.
Honestly,
what was that about?
It's like they're doing the Monday Night Football or something, and he's just on the side. He's got the suit and everything. And honestly, I was looking at it, I was like, is this the fucking Muppets or something? Who is he broadcasting to? This is an underground cage fight. There looks like maximum there's 20 people there. They don't have enough money to pay many extras. So the cameras always, when they want to show the crowd, the camera always seems to be in this one position. It's like, right, you guys all need to get crowded into the shot. But yeah, it's the fact that it's like he's commentating on the boxing or something. And yeah, who are you speaking to? That was fucking bizarre. Now, to be fair, I can't think of another one off the top of my head, but we've seen this before, haven't we? Where, there's some kind of underground sports event like boxing or MMA or something like that. But then you've got the commentators. It's so ridiculous.
It is. I think, and I'm gonna think. Yeah, I actually listened. There's a bit of dialogue where I think they said they were earning that much money per week sending this stream to the Asian market. I think that's who it's supposed to be, but it never made sense why he had a false moustache on, because it wasn't like he took his wig off or he had, like he had a full fucking fucking Reb Brown. Scott's got a full fucking Steven Seagal fucking wig on at this point, hasn't he? And he's got like the full thing with the Fu Manchu fucking moustache and everything. It's bizarre.
Chris, you're not going to believe this, right? So 4.2 is what this movie has on IMDb. I have just seen, and I know I'm not like you, right? I'm not going to hide what this is. Before this, so Cage 2 came out in 1994. 2 years prior to that, in Lou Ferrigno's IMDb, he has Frogtown 2. Remember when we did Hell Comes to Frogtown?
Oh my god.
So Lou Ferrigno is somehow in the sequel, which is called Frogtown 2, and it's rated 3.3 on IMDb.
Don't fucking do it.
We are fucking... Who's have we got a Patreon pick after this one, Chris? Or who's could it be?
You, Dave.
I may have to call an audible here. Sorry to jump. I could not. I was going to burst when I saw it. So actually, no. I need a bit more. I need a bit more time and to look into it a bit more. But fuck a doodle do. That's going on my list.
Well, Dave, all I'm going to say to you is I think the one I'm talking about at Christmas is even lower than that. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh,
That's
maybe
all I'm
I
going to say.
save it then. So, 'cause obviously, I mean,
Go in
I
my
don't
hand.
normally even schedule that far out, but just was on a bit of a mission. But yeah, maybe I do this one that week before Christmas. But I know it'd be after, wouldn't it? I'm after, so it'd be New Year. But anyway, Chris, sorry, I fucking so distracted then. I'm gonna have to watch the trailer right after we've recorded.
Yeah, you're gonna have to now. That's it now. But yeah, I think like there's a lot of scenes with Lou, with the guy out of Die Hard, with the girl Shanley. That like his backstory of like the little. I think he's supposed to depict him as a character, and it doesn't do anything, does it? You've got like the henchmen are coming in with money, and they're talking about like all this money you're earning, and I think the Interpol are on us, but there's no jeopardy, is there? It's sort of like it just meanders, and then the scenes where Lou's with the girl who obviously he's in love with. The next scene, you've got like fucking Scott then doing his own little journey to fight. I mean, I did love, Dave, the bit when Lou fought against the Van Damme lookalike who did the split. He did everything that Van Damme does in Bloodsport, in Kickboxer, the whole. I don't know what that was, but they just went, we need a Wish version of Jean-Claude. Anything you can do. And this guy must have been his stunt double or something, because he did it all, didn't he? Exactly the same. It was bizarre. I don't know whether that was a bit of I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, a bit of a nod. But yeah, the movie itself, and when fucking Scott starts fighting, fuck me. The moustache, you know what I mean? He looks like fucking Billy Ray Cyrus, fucking Scott, with the fucking hair and everything. It's just terrible, Dave.
It was really bad. I mean, that Van Damme lookalike, I actually think he looked more like his replacement from No Retreat, No Surrender 2. What was it? Mateus something?
He's massive, him. He's still in good shape.
Yeah, so we need to watch at some point the Last Kumite, don't we? So I know he's in that. But yeah, I thought he looked a little bit more like him. But you say about Billy not really being a likable character. In fact, both Billy and Scott kill people in this cage match, don't they?
Yes.
They're just like collateral damage. It's like, I didn't mean to kill him. But it's like, okay, but I don't really know. It's not like you've given him a crack and then he's fallen funny or something like that. You actually, especially Scott, when he's got his fucking ridiculous disguise on where he looks like he's trying to be in fucking Frank Zappa or something. And he actually gets the little guy, doesn't he? The little TIE fighter, and like snaps his neck. It's like, that wasn't an accident, mate. You literally went in for the kill twist and you did it. So, yeah, I think both of them just weren't really that kind of likable. And yeah, they're fucking. I guess I'm saying about the ridiculous wig, and it's not like he's famous. However, if they were surveying Billy, they'd have seen Scott as well, wouldn't they? I guess.
Yeah.
It's just come to me. So I guess, a bit of a disguise. Just didn't have to make it didn't have to make it that fucking ridiculous. But yeah, and did you spot the other guy? Because there's a link to Samurai Cop. I'm sure it's the guy who's counting the money and he gets stabbed in the end. I'm sure he's the guy in Samurai Cop, isn't he? I don't recognise the names, unfortunately. There's hardly any pictures on IMDb of who people are. So, but yeah, there's definitely a link there.
There is, but the whole when they fight and he's in the ring with that wig on, and it's like, well, the wig's going to come off anyway. The Interpol, they get each other in a bear hug, don't they? There's a couple of little punches, and then fucking Billy's like, Scott, and they're hugging each other. And then there's just a Royal Rumble around the cage, isn't there? There's just like the Interpol guy again, he's nails in it. He's just going round kicking ass of everyone. And then the other guy just keeps going up to that commentator laughing and then does a fucking like one of them like 1 inch punch chops to his neck, doesn't he? And takes the commentator out. And I'm still wondering, why was the commentator featured so much? Was there a reason behind it? There was no like context to it. Was he really the mastermind? Nothing. He just gets dropped. And yeah, it's weird because
like Gorilla Monsoon, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was fucking with Bobby the Brain. They're fucking legends, them Dave. But yeah, the whole, idea of the movie is just obviously it's purely greed, it's money. It's, the guy at Die Hard, he's genuinely just sort of like a nasty piece of work. He's got this brace on Annie because Billy had fucking hurt him and all this. It's like, so Billy feels indebted to him. But when we get the whole final bit, it's weird because his henchman gets taken out because he's counting the money. He thinks he's nicking it. He probably was. But when, like, Lou, when fucking Billy is ready to go at him, he's literally like doing the Incredible Hulk thing anyway. He flexes his muscles. There's not really any context or like, he's like, I'm going to get you. Shoots him. Shoots him again. And again. And I'm like, they're not killing him off, are they? What the fuck are they doing here? Like, we've waited all movie for Scott to get to it. And I know he's killed people. And like, when Scott killed that guy, and he's like, I've just killed someone, they went, yeah, but he would have killed you. It's dog. Dog. I'm like, oh, that fucking justifies it then, doesn't it?
They discussed that beforehand, maybe.
But yeah, weird that bit at the end with Billy, because I was not expecting him to get taken out at all.
Right, now I think, I'm trying to go through quite quickly, but I think it's Gerald Akamura. He's the guy who was in Cage 2 and Samurai Cop as well.
Oh, legend. Dave.
What a legend. So there you go, Chris. A link there. But yeah, the thing is with Billy as well, right? We're in the sequel. We spent a whole movie with him. Like you say, he just gets shot, and it's almost like when he got shot, that first one in his shoulder, I thought, oh, this is classic action movie stuff. It was like, oh, that's a bit inconvenient, isn't it? And then he turns around, he gets another one, and then one in the belly. It's like, we've spent all of this time, and it's billed as like this martial arts movie, and he just gets shot. That's the end of him in the sequel. 3 shots, you're done. Or so we
see
think.
you later.
Yeah,
Well,
so it's like such an unsatisfying way to end. There's no heroic thing that he was doing. I mean, his girlfriend there had got a shot as well, hadn't she? But I just found it ridiculous. I can't think of another film like this, Chris, where they've killed off one of the main characters in a martial arts movie by just shooting him.
Yeah. It's fucking bizarre, isn't it? And I don't know what, and I get it. The idea is he's not redeemable because of what he's done. But then it's like, well, you could have a Bucky Barnes situation, Dave, couldn't you? Where it's like, well, yeah, he's done some heinous things, but he's trying to appease himself. He was under sucking, these drugs, and he was manipulated. I know it probably wouldn't. It wouldn't really pass in court, I suppose. You've killed 6 people, yeah, but
But also, even if you didn't redeem him and keep him alive, you'd expect him to do something heroic, wouldn't you?
Yes.
So maybe he does something that saves Scott and, sacrifices himself in some way. No, just shot him 3 times.
Yeah. And that was it. He was out of the game, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was just like, and you know what else was funny, though? And I know I'm going to jump right to the start, is when they were going after Billy in the grocers, and them 2 girls had invited Scott and that and to a fucking party. When Scott uses them as human shields in the fucking when he falls back on the fucking bananas or whatever he does on the grocery aisle, he sort of pulls them back and they take both bullets. And Scott's like, oh, fucking, that's terrible, that, isn't it? He's got a bit of blood coming from his nose or something. It's fucking weird, isn't it?
It is, but do you not think as well with the Interpol guys, that, like say, the Mr. Miyagi, the sensei, he seemed to get about 5 minutes of beating people up with his fucking stick.
Yeah.
It just went on for way too long. It's almost like, oh, are you the main character now? It was very centered on him. It's not like you were going through this fight where he's getting attacked from all angles. Well, I say all angles, mainly one at a time. But, it's not like it cut away to some stuff that Scott was doing. It was just focused on that. It felt like fucking ages. But, Chris, I've mentioned about Samurai Cop, and the main, apart from old Gerald there, the other reason I thought of Samurai Cop is when they get to the end, they've killed off the bad guys and whatever, and they're waiting by the ambulance, classic end of action movie. Okay, everyone's okay. And it seems like the girlfriend, she's about to go into the ambulance. So, she might survive. And Reb Brown, I don't know if this was, I want to say it feels like a reshoot. Only I don't think there's any reshoots in this. I don't think they brought everyone back saying, no, we had a look through it. We need some extra scenes. It's like it's right at the end, and he just cannot be asked. I mean, he's a terrible actor anyway, and I say that as if I'm like better than me, right? But still, when I watch an actual movie, I expect people to be better than what he's delivering there. But when the bad guy is getting away, in his helicopter, it's so clearly in the daytime, but yet they're stood there by the ambulance where it's clearly nighttime. And Reb Brown, the way he's talking, it's like it's not the actual scene, So if you watch, like Christopher Lloyd in some of the outtakes from Back to the Future, some of those classic lines that he delivers, 1.21 gigawatts, like, when you see the outtakes, it's like he's delivering it at 40% or something like that. It's just ridiculous. It's like he just can't be asked, or he's pissed off with the director or something. And it just looks weird. It looks like someone's not even trying. And Reb Brown, he's looking up supposedly at the camera. And it's almost like Frank in Samurai Cop when he's doing the laugh. And he looks up at the helicopter and he's like, that son of a bitch got away. I'm like, are you serious? And the other guy's got a fucking rocket launcher. Now
that is brilliant.
The accuracy on this fucking rocket launcher, it's not surface to air missile or something. But yeah, hits this moving helicopter, absolutely nails on and blows it up. But like I say, it felt some of the shots were so good. It was obviously filmed, maybe they've just done a HD job on some of the scenes and not all of them. But the fact that you're going from night to day, and the level of acting, the end in particular, it gave me that Samurai Cop feel.
Fucking brilliant. And the fact that, like you say, Billy's dead, but he's not, Dave. The last scene, the Hulk rises. We're going to get a third one, but we never got a third one, Dave. But we were going to get a third one. Billy lives. Fucking ridiculous.
But the way he kind of springs his head up, it's like he's just woken up. I'm like,
yeah.
No, surely, especially the shot to the stomach, right? It's like you're bleeding out all over the place, but it's not like he gingerly kind of tries to move off. It's just like, dun, 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 he's alive. It's just fucking hell, ridiculous. But I tell you what, Chris, if there was a Cage 3, I'd fucking watch it.
Yeah, I would as well. As the credits rolled as well, it made me laugh. The cast is in alphabetical order, so top billing is sexy girl number 1, Kendra Adams, Dave. Lou Ferrigno is sort of like 10th. He's about the 10th one down. Lou Ferrigno. Reb Brown's above him. He's 5th. He's going off the second name, so I've never seen that. Second in the list is the pilot. Then it's Black Hand Leader, Karate Fighter, Carpet Guy. Then Scott, bartender. Dan. It's fucking nonsense. This movie.
So the number 1 person there is, you say, not just on the credits, but if you go to IMDb, sexy girl number 1 gets the top bill in there as well. Lou Ferrigno is second. So old Kendra Adams, I'm thinking maybe she is like someone actually quite famous, but I'm on her IMDb page. This is literally her only credit. Like,
what a credit though.
Did Kendra Adams set up the IMDb page for Cage 2 or something? It's a weird mystery. Why is this borderline extra? I mean, I don't know. Who is sexy girl number 1? Is that someone? Would that have been in the grocery store at the beginning? Maybe.
Oh, maybe the ones in the bath together. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm also intrigued. Who's sexy girl number 2? And I think there's a bit of a. Oh no, she's like halfway down. That's Christine Hart, apparently. So
Must be the two in the rest, the grosses at the start. It's got to be, hasn't it?
I mean, looking at her IMDb there, I mean, yeah, she's cast in the right role. But anyway, Chris, after this discussion, should we get into our final review?
Let's go. So, Dave, I picked this just out of we had to conclude these two movies. We definitely did. I think what makes laugh is the movie is fucking terrible. But one of the things you always think, would you watch it again? And I'm not even bullshitting. This isn't a Hit Monkey, Dave, or anything like that. This is, I'd watch this again. It's utterly ridiculous. The movie is fucking terrible. The acting, Lou Ferrigno's not a good actor. They're trying these tender moments. And then you've got the next scene where he is literally the Incredible Hulk, just going on an absolute, like, Wolverine berserker rage. He's just killing everyone in sight, and he's indestructible. It's paper thin. And the fact that all of a sudden Reb Brown becomes the hero from nowhere, he was completely just a support character in both movies, is utterly fucking ridiculous. So I will watch this again, Dave, but it's not a great movie at all. However, it's got to go into Hill Valley, Dave, because it is stupidly shit, but it's the sort of movie that's right up our street. And I sent you the YouTube link yesterday because the channel it's on YouTube has got some of the worst action movies ever, Dave. So they are in my back pocket for the future. I am now a subscriber to that channel. So amazing work. What about yourself?
You know, I did see it. I just didn't click on it. I was a bit last minute this week, having to watch the movie, but I will go to that. And I know that's going to be a rich source of future picks. So, Chris, obviously we've gone through some of the ridiculous things, and I think in highlight form, you know, there are some classic moments. The Reb Brown wig, the ridiculousness of the ending. That, for me, the best bit, the bit that really I enjoyed was that end scene that I talked about where they shoot the helicopter, because it was so Samurai Cop. When it's done with no intention of being funny, but it's just unintentionally hilarious. That's what I really enjoy. But I must admit, I found this whole movie quite a bit of a slog. Watching the whole thing, and it's not... I mean, it's about an hour and 40, isn't it? I mean, I don't know why, because it didn't need to be any longer than 90 minutes. And I can only think that Reb Brown kind of had it in his contract or something. If you think about the first movie, maybe, you know, he felt like he had equal billing to Lou Ferrigno. But for me, Lou Ferrigno is the star of this movie, or at least he should be. But then it kind of flip-flops between the two of them, and Billy is not the same character as the first movie. I mean, it's not quite a No Retreat, No Surrender trilogy thing, but he's supposed to be the same character, but just delivered in a very different way. But I did enjoy bits of it. I love when we can speak about these movies that no one's really watched, you know, or very, very few people have watched. And they're just utterly ridiculous, straight to video action. We talk about the story, but the story doesn't matter. It's about the cage fighting. But to be honest, if I'm going to watch anything like that, I'll go to Shoot Fighter. You know, I've got a bit of William Zabka in there, but I've got Bolo in there as well. I got the different styles, because that's one of the things I love about Bloodsport, is just the different martial arts styles. You've even got a sumo guy in there as well. Everyone in this was very, very similar. And then you've just got Lou Ferrigno doing the Hulk thing. He does look amazing, by the way. I mean, it just, like you say, he's clearly been taking all the vitamins then and working incredibly hard to get into that shape. But yeah, just so for me, not quite at a Hill Valley. I'm going to say it's an Elm Street for me. At the top of Elm Street, I wouldn't rule out watching this again, but I think there's better terrible movies to watch before I'd watch this one.
How dare you, David? Now, It is your pick, Dave. So if you would like to go kindly, because I did, this should have been your pick really this week. So I was doing you a favour as my good friend and that. I thought, I think,
What?
well, I'm just worried what we've got next, Dave. So it's your pick. What are you going to make us watch this week?
Well, I did wobble when I just saw Frogtown 2, and it was 3 point whatever it was for 3.3 on IMDb, which says to get lower than 5 on IMDb, you're doing something pretty terrible. But Chris, I am not. I've had my head in this one for a long time. It's a film that I loved as a kid, and for as long as I can remember, I used to love the Muppets. And they even had the LP. There was the Muppets album. They just loved all of that, and it's weird. I think there's so much animated stuff now that I don't think kids are just into those Muppets anymore as well. But there was a film that came out in the mid-'80s that, for 2 reasons, the lead actress was rather lovely as well and caught the eye of young Dave, but also there's a Muppets element to it as well. And also you had Dark Crystal a few years before. There was a similar idea. So you have this dark fairy tale feel to it, and I've got some stories where some of my other friends didn't quite feel the same way. But Chris, I'm not going to throw you under the bus, but I am also not sure what you're going to think about it as well. Chris, this is the 1986 movie starring David Bowie and Jeff Connolly. It's Labyrinth. Now let's get into the trailer.
You have 13 hours in which to solve the labyrinth before your baby brother becomes one of us forever.
Life can be easy. It's not always.
How are we doing the themes?
Yeah.
Don't tell me truth hurts little.
I've watched this. I've always hated it though. From afar.
You know what? I'm not sure this is the original trailer.
I've never seen it. I just hate the VHS. That's why I'm not.
Yeah.
What do you class the eyes, Dave?
Magic of Jim Henson. The wizardry of George Lucas.
Yeah.
Labyrinth.
I'll be honest with you, Dave. That's doing fuck all for me for next week.
Oh, I am so glad then, because I wasn't throwing you under the bus. I genuinely, not even joking, I love this movie. So I'm going to struggle to be objective about it. You're going to come in, all guns blazing. You've hated it forever. You've never actually watched it, but you hate everything about it. Fucking can't wait.
Hey, don't ruin my fucking stick, Dave. There's no need for that. So before we get into the thanks for everybody, we have had an email, Dave, haven't we, off Jenny? So nice. Jenny over in Australia sent us one a couple of weeks ago. So apologies, Jenny. We forgot to read this one out, but we're going to quickly go through this one. And she's put, Two Hands review. Hey guys, love your podcast so much. You have me in stitches every week. A bit of trivia for you. In the review of Two Hands, I heard Chris, and she's corrected us on another email saying, actually, Dave mentioned that he used to watch Prison Cell Block H. And it turns out my dear late Aunt Judy played Pixie on the show. I'm writing to you from Sydney, Australia. I have to recommend the show Wentworth, which is the reboot of Prisoner. My auntie had passed before the show came out, but she too would have loved it. Thank you again for making me laugh each and every week, Jenny from Oz. So what a great email that is, Dave. Thank you, Jenny, for tuning in, listening to us two bellends.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that and it just blew my mind because, again, you're taking this memory. I can't remember exactly what we'd have said, but it wouldn't have been about the stellar acting. I mean, the acting in this Cage 2 was probably just below that in Prisoner. But I just remember it at school. I'm sure we were saying about the sets and, wobbling walls and all that sort of stuff. But the fact that this project that we've had is me and you just chatting shit about movies, and we've got someone who listens who has a connection to Prisoner Cell Block 8. It's fucking mad.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Thank you, Jenny. Honestly,
absolutely
it's really
amazing.
Good.
Yeah,
it is.
Thank you.
It's really good. And I've watched Wentworth as well. So I watched like the first 3 or 4 series, and then one of the main characters got killed off, and I was like, no, we can't have that, Dave. We can't have that. But Wentworth is brilliant. It was dead violent as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, great show, to be fair. So, Dave, big thank you to everyone who tunes in. We do appreciate all your support, guys. If you want to email us like Jenny, vhsstrikesback@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media @VHSStrikesBack. If you do want to support us, please get over to patreon.com/the VHS Strikes Back. And we have a new patron as well. So massive thank you to Gareth as well, who's joined the patrons. We do appreciate it. And thanks for your support, mate. Great stuff. So the roll call of honor for today is Gareth, John, Mike, Lee, Helen, Dylan, Stephen, Trent, Dan, Justin, Susan, Timothy, Matt, Hales, Kent, Lucky Lulu Green, Herbs, Jacks, Math, Blake, John Hammond, and Mr. Tony Farina. So thank you so much, guys, for all your support. Amazing people, and we appreciate everyone who supported me and Dave, past and present.
That's amazing. Thank you. And yeah, again, just saying about, being humbled, there's a connection to Prisoner, but, just hearing the names as well. I know we do it every week, but just, it's just amazing, Chris. But anyway, we have been running a bit long. I don't know how we've managed to speak about this particular movie for quite so long, to be honest. But, Chris, for this week's musical little number, we are talking about a martial arts straight to video. Can I call it a movie? I guess it does come under the movie category. But Chris, there's only one kind of musical genre, and I've used this as a bit of a crutch the last few weeks, so I'll try and move away from that maybe in the future. But yeah, I'm not even going to tee it up, because as soon as it starts, you know what this is.
Rising up back in the cage, time to fire is how it's rage. In the sequel, the stakes are way higher. It's ready to roll, and the bad guys are tired.
Does it not want to make you work out, doesn't it?
Yeah. I love it. Get the spandex on, Dave.
Wasn't so quick, but now he's a real deal. The shot in them, he stands forever. Took a few hits, now he sees starting, baby. While this one, guns blazing hot, it's all about fun. He's the heart of the crew, he's got their back. Together they're lethal. It's a race in the cage, Billy's back getting smarter. We're playing to ball, yeah, and hitting the
Very good. I like it. Just feels like a proper 80s montage, doesn't it?
Yeah. 100% montage is what I was going for.
Love the guitar. That's fucking brilliant lyrics again. Very good.
Chris,
That's fucking good.
Does that not want to make you do a Rocky montage? It makes you run through the snow and lift up tree trunks and all that sort
Pull
of
me
stuff.
back out. Yeah, it does, baby.
Yeah, literally get all my stuff on, put my headband on, run outside the door and be like, "Oh, me back!"
I swear to you, I think I told you. I think you said it on the podcast, and we were talking, and I fucking, how obsessive I am with training, especially these days, like more than ever. And I'm like, I'm always bragging about doing my yoga every day, and fucking, I never miss yoga. I'm 18 months now. I'm not missing yoga every day. I'm doing the gym 6 days a week. I'm fucking there. Week last Monday, Dave. Fucking had a power nap, start so early. It's about 3 p.m. 15-minute power nap, woke up, thought, fucking hips hurting a bit. What's I done there? I've pulled something in my hip. Just done yoga and everything. Yeah, Dave. Fucking even to this day, my fucking back, I'm walking like I've never done any exercise at certain points. I don't know what I've done. I literally had a power nap. I woke up and my fucking hip had gone and I was like, oh, this isn't good, this.
Yeah.
This is not good. So yeah, there's no montage from me, Dave.
Is it Scott over at 20th Century Geek who said, I sneezed and I pulled a muscle?
Yeah. That's what it felt like.
Shit, isn't it?
Yeah. I turned suddenly and my hip went, I don't think so. You silly boy. I've still carried on training like a dick, Dave, but that's absolutely making it worse. But there you go.
I do that as well. And it's when the bloody adrenaline goes, it's like about an hour after or so, and you're like, oh yeah, should have just fucking stopped, you dick.
Yeah.
But
I was getting up, holding my knees to get up off the chair, and someone's going, you look about fucking 70 odd. I went, I'm fucking feeling it. I don't know what's happened to me. And she, you're not training? I went, of course I'm not. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be in the gym in the morning later. So it's not fucking healing. Fucking dick.
Yeah, that one's definitely a training montage type thing to get you going when you start off your workout. But Chris, I had a lot of fun today. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all our listeners out there. Thanks to all our supporters. And we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'll be back. That's not.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Wax on, wax off. Get to the chopper! One ring to go. All right. Ding, ding. Bust you up. Go for it.
Well, here we go.
Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Come on. Come on, ain't so bad. You ain't nothing. Come on. You must be crazy or something. I'm crazy. You just a stupid. Yeah, maybe you crazy. I ain't breathing heavy. He's a